Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I am your adorable host, Christopher. This is a CIA agent's stunning confessions before his death, Spies, Hoods, and the Hidden Elite. DC. So before we get started, I've already clicked that thumbs up. You can subscribe to the channel. Doomsday Central. You know what? Boom. And then you can donate to the channel through the thanks button. See if they have one. Yep, mine looks just like that. Click on it. Donate some money. You can ask for a video, and your name sponsors that video. So this is going to be another, I said 20 minutes. I want to stop at these like chapters. So we'll do that, but I'm going to aim for the 40-minute mark. This will, hiccup, be a little bit shorter. All right? Video. LBJ was killing people in the Caribbean? That dirty dog.
When Castro landed up in the Escambray Mountains and started his little revolution, he got some aid from Lansky, simply because Lansky was just sort of hedging his bet. As a matter of fact, he had an agreement with Castro that if he took over the government, he'd let him continue operating the casinos. After Castro actually came to power in 1959, he let them operate for about 2 months, and then he confiscated the hotels, confiscated them, and so naturally they were interested in getting back to Cuba. Lansky himself, personally, had a $1 million contract out on Castro. So here we had these people, and then we had the CIA, and we had the mob, all trying to get rid of Castro.
Let's be honest, though, the mob was only trying to do it for, greedy self-interest. It's not like they were doing it to try to make a better world.
Cuba wasn't the only interest. So was the Dominican Republic and its dictator, Rafael Trujillo.
The government was pushing very, very vigorously to get rid of Castro, and they had enlisted the aid of Trujillo and Johnny Abbas, who was his head of security, who was one of the best assassins in the world. But they suddenly, somewhere in the about this time, the State Department decided, hey, we've had enough of Trujillo. Trujillo has to go, so we're going to. So they started putting plans in the hopper to kill Trujillo. So that removed one very, very dangerous foe of Castro.
A CIA letter dated March 17, 1961, sent to a CIA team, including Chauncey, says, in case you plan to hunt this territory, recommend high-powered foreign-made rifle with telescopic scope and silencer. Have already obtained necessary licenses and paid the fees. That means the Trujillo assassination had the go-ahead. He was murdered 2 weeks later. The mob had never forgotten how Castro had double-crossed them, so they set in motion a series of deadly plans to assassinate the Cuban leader.
Lansky had he had actually offered a contract of $1 million for anyone who would dispose of Castro. Now, he had a viable, in my opinion, it was the most workable plan to assassinate Castro that was ever conceived. And they had assassin chosen. They got the weapon in. It came in with some circus equipment. It was they had rented an apartment which was within 300 yards of the television station where he used to walk back and forth and harangue for hour on end, and so forth. And but at the last minute, it was called off, and it was called off through pressure from the State Department.
The CIA didn't want to give up. They wanted a location in South Florida to keep close tabs on Castro. They again turned to Meyer Lansky.
Down in the Florida Keys at Marathon had built this airport strictly for his use, but the CIA began to use it, and we started making flights from Marathon. It wasn't too far, from Marathon into Cuba, and we would insert agents into Cuba. We would deliver arms and ammunition into Cuba. We made literally dozens and dozens of flights into Cuba in 1960.
Intrigue, ineptitude, and infighting, CIA and State Department doomed any efforts.
Everybody seemed to be working at cross purposes, and finally, at the just before the 1960 election, they came up with this idea of invading Cuba, and what started out from being a very small, over-the-beach Dieppe type raid turned into a full assault.
That full assault, the Bay of Pigs invasion, would be a complete failure, a major embarrassment for the Kennedy administration, and the impetus for Operation Mongoose.
I did the Bay of Pigs invasion. It's a two-parter, and Castro was bombing the beaches with artillery, and I think it was one shell was landing every 6 seconds for 24 or 48 hours. Might have even been 72 hours. It was a ridiculous amount. Ridiculous. I mean just like ridiculous in terms of how many are just landing. If you're one of those people that's like incoming, you have to start wondering, when is it just going to stop coming? Because it's too much. But hey, if you have the weapons and they're trying to invade, you got to do what you got to do.
Operation Mongoose was a ill-conceived joint operation between organized crime and the CIA to actually simply kill Castro. And there's some various memos. As a matter of fact, I have a few memos how it ended up, how they were talking about what they were going to do, and so forth.
Here are some of the memos Chauncey refers to. These men participated in a meeting held at a small airport between Palm Springs and Indio, California. The name? Bermuda Dunes.
In that meeting, Peter Licavoli and I flew in from Arizona. Sam Giancana, Johnny Roselli came in from Chicago. William King Harvey came.
I read a book on Sam Giancana. Not a very nice guy.
From Langley. William King Harvey was a legend in the CIA. He was the only member, he was the only CIA member there, but of course he was the one that was laying out the plan.
Who was William King Harvey? Chauncey was well aware of his involvement in other CIA operations.
William King Harvey was the head of Task Force W. That had been renamed. Originally, that was a part of a ZR Rifle operation called ZR Rifle. ZR Rifle was nothing more than an assassination group that went around the world assassinating people. And Harvey happened to be the head of ZR Rifle.
On December 14, 1961, top echelon leaders of the CIA and the Mafia met at Bermuda Dunes Airport in Palm Springs to discuss ground rules for Operation Mongoose. Chauncey's memos from that meeting show an executive action was planned. Executive action means assassination. The target, the Beard, Castro. The ground rules, CIA only, maximum security, non-attributability, plausible denial, need-to-know basis. Harvey set the tone of the meeting at the Bermuda Dunes Airport.
They were going to eliminate the Beard and how it was going to be done, and what, just starting as to what personnel they were going to hire. First of all, they were trying to decide what cryptonym they were going to use for this, because they had decided that they would assign it a cryptonym and it would end up in the official CIA files. AM, normally operations involving Cuba had an AM start to their cryptonym. So we said, well, we don't want to use AM. What are we going to use? They started looking down the list, and MO was some cryptonym for some obscure place way out in the Pacific somewhere. So we said, hey, that would be a good, use MO. And somebody said, well, what goes with MO? And so it flows, you know. So somebody said, hey, how about mongoose? You know, the mongoose never loses, you know, that's a good one, you know. So everybody agreed, is, hey, we'll call it Operation Mongoose.
It's also decided any further discussions about Operation Mongoose would be face-to-face, nothing in writing. The CIA's William King Harvey was clearly in charge.
It was a very short meeting because of the fact that
20 minutes an hour?
Yeah, 20 minutes an hour. It didn't take very long. I mean, he laid it out in precise terms. These guys wanted to get out, you know, and you know, take on off. And guys like Giancana and Rosselli, I mean, they're reluctant, you know, to get together. These and Ligavoli too. These high-ranking mobsters don't like to meet with each other, and rarely do they. So we kept it short and sweet, and that was it.
An August 14th, 1962 inter-office CIA memo from William King Harvey to the Director of Clandestine Operations says, in part, our contract agents in Miami and Los Angeles have been assured by me that no reference to this operation appears in our central files.
Our first order of business was to set up a documentation mill. So we started looking around for a plant, and we found one that was ideal, and it was in financial trouble. It was called the Los Angeles Stamp and Stationery Company. It was a very old LA firm that owned a very valuable building in downtown Los Angeles, which was ideally set up because what we could do, the first 4 floors of this building was devoted to legitimate business. We went right on with their printing. They printed, they did banners, they did badges, they did high quality printing such as stock certificates, bonds, that sort of thing. But more importantly, in that which for us was the fact that they made police badges for just about every a police department in the United States. And then the top floor was devoted to our clandestine operation. So we had a group of employees that knew nothing about what went on upstairs. But upstairs, we did all the disinformation stuff, all the fake IDs, and that sort of thing.
The agency also wanted a machine shop to handle weapon modifications.
We discovered this place at Goleta, which is California, which is at the Santa Barbara airport. So there again, it was located on the airport, so we could land there, taxi in, pull right in. We had a big hangar, just pull right into that facility, which is great, you know, for loading and unloading arms and that sort of thing. And there again, this was an operating machine shop that continued its own work. But when we came along, we said, hey, we want 500 silencers. We got 500 silencers.
By late 1962, both covert operations were up and running. Both were used by the mob and the CIA. Holt's immediate supervisor on behalf of the agency was Phil Twombly.
Philip Twombly had been, at one time, the executive vice president for Caribbean operations of Coca-Cola, which used to boast that it was the eyes and ears of the CIA in the Caribbean. So we know that he was well connected. We never actually knew how well until we came to the West Coast, and we were told that all of our funds would be coming from Philip Twombly. And all of our orders would be coming from Philip Twombly and a longtime agent by the name of Richard Wilson. The head of the CIA in Los Angeles was a guy by the name of Ernst Leibacher. And we were told that except in an extreme emergency, we were not to contact Leibacher, that our operations were outside the normal loop of the CIA.
You know what makes me kind of believe him? Is that he gives the names. He doesn't give an alias. He doesn't give... Leibacher. You know, was it Ernst Leibacher? Like, he gives the name. Which to me gives more credibility. But that's just me. That's one of the things that I kind of judge.
So suddenly, I mean, at first we had no trouble setting up all these things, but then we started making requests for capital equipment that we felt that we needed, and it had just slowed to a trickle for some reason. I mean, we just weren't getting any funds.
But suddenly, in early 1963, the purse strings loosened.
We're not talking about piddly little procurements. We're talking about big ticket items. Among them was we wanted a corporate jet to fly back and forth in a fast we wanted to get and the best one at that time was the Gulfstream, which was a turboprop job. The startling thing about it was they were telling us, hey, we got money. At the end of '63, at the end of April in '63, I received a note from Philip Twombly, in which he said that we would soon be receiving a special order from our distributor in New Orleans.
A letter from Twombly dated April 29th, 1960.
I do wish these were a little more clear, readable.
63 is addressed to Jack Moon, Chauncey's favorite alias. I want you to personally supervise this project and make the delivery yourself to New Orleans. It's signed, regards, Phil.
Our distributor in New Orleans happened to be Guy Bannister, who is a well-known person, known to all the assassination researchers. because he was a very mysterious guy and was probably Lee Harvey Oswald's control.
Twombly's letter to Chauncey Holt, a.k.a. Jack Moon, ended with this instruction. The customer wants all the original artwork destroyed when the job is completed.
Okay, we're going to end it there. I am a little glitchy, aren't I? It's annoying. But we'll go ahead and end it there. This was a request, by the way. And we'll be back with part 3. I'm just kind of like enjoying listening to him. I don't really have much to add. I could be the JFK assassination. I am so easily swayed. Yes, it was Lee Harvey Oswald. Yes, it was this. Yes, it was that. I'm just swayed. So hearing all this stuff, because I don't really know much about the Bay of Pigs. So hearing all this stuff, I could walk away going, yeah, it was CIA mob, and it was all these people this guy's talking about, and it could be completely wrong, completely false. But I don't know enough, and I'm not. Hey, stop. I don't know enough, and I'm not dug in enough to have a side. So I'm easily swayed. But we're going to end it here. Until next time, have a good day, have a good night.